Good evening.
Good evening all, and wherever you are in the world and whenever you are, it's Saturday night and you're here with us, with Seuss.
In the Gunners Club.
And Gunner as well at the Gunners Club.
And Gunner.
That's right, welcome. It's no secret that my passion is wine. Of all the alcohols, this is the one I love the most. This is the king who sits on his throne is wine.
Okay, I thought it was whiskey.
Like a bit of whiskey. Last weekend, I was up with the Shiraz Republic. Have a look at them online because they do all sorts of wine experimentation courses and you can learn how to make your own wine. I'm currently doing one with them. And so I went up to Heathcote and checked out what we're doing with my Shiraz grapes. Well, what we're doing at the moment is we're adding wood to the wine. So we're starting to explore what difference it makes. And I found it really interesting.
Did you stomp on them with your own bare feet?
I did. I did. So if anyone comes over and gets to try it, that's what the funkiness is.
So is this the one?
This is not that. This is from some other completely different place.
So it's safe to drink then.
Okay. But I was thinking, Seuss, that we were going to call this video Got Wood.
Yes, I do.
We'll see what other puns we can serve up for you. What I found was amazing is we got to play with just grape juice without having any wood in it at all. And then we started to play with different doses of woods and different types of woods as well.
Well, that's nice.
So let me tell you what grape juice by itself is like once it's fermented. It's basically like a green apple. That's basically what the taste is like. And we start to refine it and we start to introduce the spices, the vanilla-ness to it, the tannins, everything that makes it a good drinkable wine to it with the oak. And we played with 3 different oaks. Now, can you guess, of the 3 different oaks, okay, so there's American and French, which are the main 2 we play with in Australia, and Hungarian. Can you guess what you've got in that glass there?
I don't know, but I'm still trying to get over with you playing with your wood.
Yeah, I've been known to. So with playing with wood and playing with wine, the old world way of doing it was basically you'd have the wine and introduce it to the wood. That meant that you'd introduce the wine to a barrel of wood. And barrels of wood are very expensive. This, by the way, is French oak that you're smelling and are about to taste right now. And what that means is it's going to, it's not going to impart as much flavour to it as what American wood does. But the flavour that it does impart is actually, I think it's more poetic, it's more refined. It's subtler spices, but you'll be able to taste some cedar to it. And you'll be able to taste basically what you can imagine with French cooking, baking spices.
Yep.
Whereas the Americans with their sweet teeth, more cooking spices for the French, they'll have the baking spices. So think your coconut, think your vanillas, think sweet spices, things like that. So why don't you have a try of that?
I already have. It's got a peppery notes to it. It's I quite like it actually.
I'm glad you do. This is a special wine in that what they've done, Taylor's is the largest wine operation in the Clare Valley, but because Australians love grapes for Cabernet Sauvignon from the Coonawarra, they've introduced some Coonawarra grapes to it as well. And if you ever go to the Coonawarra and you see when they cut away the earth and you can see the limestone sediments that they have, it's just God's own earth there. So I'm glad they've done that. So the old world way of doing that is basically introduce the wine to the oak, but the newer, cheaper, quicker way to do it is to do it the other way. Why don't we instead introduce the oak to the wine?
That's where they use the staves.
And the reason they do that, Seuss, can you guess how much it costs for a standard barrel of oak just to make your wines? So one that does 300 bottles, your 225 litres.
Couldn't tell you. I know. I got one second hand sitting out there. I bought it for $200 at Bunnings.
You wouldn't get much for $200. So in my past life, I did do finance for vintners, and people would grow the grapes and they'd have it there almost ready to harvest, but they wouldn't have the wood to make the wine. And for some of the wineries out in Western Victoria, they might have the wine on wood for as long as 18 months. So that is a lot of money sitting there. And the cost is about $4,000 for a barrel. And you can use that basically for 2 seasons. And then after that, well, it's good for the furniture that you've got out there.
Wow. Is that all?
Yes, so very, very expensive. Imagine if you go to a forest, you cut down an oak tree and you say, right, what we're going to do is introduce the wine to that. You can only use a small portion of that tree to make the barrel. And then from the barrel, only 10% of that is actually exposed directly to the wine. So the idea of using a stave, or if you're using something even smaller than a demijohn, you'd use something smaller than a stave perhaps. The idea is to get maximum surface area for it.
Yeah.
Now, Australians play around with wood a lot. The classic Australian version would be, let's get 80% French oak. I know you're smoking there. And 20% American oak. And if you've got maybe too much vanillins or something left over, hey, let's split the difference and extract some of that by using Hungarian oak. Now, in the tasting I did, I found the Hungarian oak to be very, very similar to the French. I would say the French, I'd hold it just over the Hungarian. But the reason they're so similar is the French and the Hungarians each use the same 2 different varieties of oak. Now, they're both white oaks, and America also uses white oak, but a different species, a different genus than what Hungary and France do. The French stuff is great because I think it's just gives so much refinement and perfume and cedariness and velvetiness to the wine, but also, and just wait for it, yeah, there it is. So there's already, the saliva is starting to draw from the side of my mouth, which is the tannins. Now, tannins are so great because love to bind to protein. So imagine this with a rich steak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's already happening in your mouth and your mind, isn't it?
Yep. This is a hard job we got doing this. But, you know, we sacrifice ourselves for our loyal
You're
customers.
tireless, aren't you?
Look, we go out of our way.
Yeah.
Just to please our audience.
Have you ever seen in Arabia the pictures of the people beating the old tapestries that they have and things like that?
Yes.
They've got the old rugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what we do with our livers for you, week upon week upon week.
I've been beating my liver for a long time.
and you're none the poorer for it.
Yeah.
So this is my passion. This is what I love. We've talked about so many different alcohols. We've talked about gins, which are fantastic. Whiskies, particularly the Australian ones, which are so fascinating. And even absinthe. And we talk about pretty much everything that can give you that lovely feeling. But Australian wines, I think for me, is where it's at. Although you New Zealanders do some fantastic stuff as well.
Well, I got to tell you, this is some pretty good stuff here. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I had to know what I was after to find it.
It's a step up from last week's Carver. I got to tell you.
Well, let me tell you, to find it, I had to go through a number of wine shops with people who really have no business working in wine shops because, well, frankly, they just don't care. If you ask them for wine from a region, they don't know what that means. They struggle to know what a variety is. The last shop I visited, the gentleman there assured me that the wine he recommended me tasted like wine, and true to his word, it did taste like wine. I wouldn't buy it necessarily again, though.
It tastes like wine.
Yeah, it did taste like wine too. But this bottle I brought simply because of the fact that they talk about the variety of oak that they use, of it being American oak, and the flavours to expect from it. So things like the refinement of it, the cedar for it, a little bit of spice in it as well. And that's really all the things that you're getting there. But also because of it being French, the tannins, the drawing the saliva from your mouth, and just that richness and velvetiness of feel that it gives you as well.
I don't mind this at all.
Yeah.
You've done good.
Have I ever let you down with wine?
Not with wine, I have to say. You did have to come back, though. But you had a long way to come back from that last one. This is good. I'm imagining this was a nice cigar.
Is that right? Well, we'll have to turn off the camera.
Bugger that.
Why don't you join us again for the next episode?
You have a good one, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We like that. Catch ya.